haba jubab yak resolution halok Meghalaya Residents Safety and Security Act MRSSA arjar khandrio bag jingbo pat yo jingmon chori ke Meghalaya Resident Safety and Security Amendment Bill arjar arpau daulat ke jala kebala penklas lem ban penteri kami kendon ban yada nak jingwan rung kertap kat bomon gibriu sya ke jala balawan ra do Dr. Mukul Sangma MLA ke All India Trinamool Congress na Songsak constituency hakas ngi basaw ke Darbar Sunrai ke yeng Darbar Thawan ke jala Meghalaya kata ke arphandai trek nailar jap saw uba perstun tensong sembut menteri rangba ke jala badi pej ke tenat kampo yeng loong balaj nak khirdap talasi lani ki facilitation center ki badan hukum nak yeng ke syari la penteri kampura ke MRSSA arjar khanrio haba batai benia ek jinya lenti ke jing penteri kami ke MRSSA arjar khanrio uba perstun loong bagani ke ak kalong ban wanra ke jing singani ki trayeng bat kinong sawai hak bakin hab ban burenti yaki kendon katkum ketik ak ulang bak sarkar kala ya chekmat ban thaw ki district task force ki district baper ulang bakatkum ke ak labu ban sina lightly ki facilitation center kata omling umroi airport bat hamendi pathar railway station henry ladon ke chingmudoi hakut hakabalami ke hukum bahaban pensenge shwa bat hakapor ke khlam covid khatkandai lapen kelai ki shaki screening center halor ke amendment bill arjar arphau kebaki basa palat saufra kanta kinha ban register ildi haga MRSSA portal usembut menteri rangba ulong bak sorgar jela kadang ekran halor ban yok jing mencuri ka kumjuru ban yok penteri kam ya ke inner line permit hadin ke cuba menubak perstun nakaliang Dr. Mukul syaban wengno ik resolution ula kentu ik sorgar jela ban pulih benia ek section khanyo jong ak bat examine ya ka
Mr. Speaker sir, the Meghalaya Residents Safety and Security Act 2016 was enacted to ensure enhanced security vetting of the tenants and to ensure the safety and security of the citizens of the state by preventing antisocial elements from gaining shelter in the state, which might be detrimental to peace and tranquility, to maintain public order and peace, to verify and regulate the tenants residing in rented houses in the state, to establish district task force and facilitation centers to facilitate effective enforcement of various laws for safety and security of the citizens and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Sir, the Act received the assent of the Governor of Meghalaya and was published in the Gazette of Meghalaya on the 27th September 2016. Subsection 3 of Section 1 of the Act states that it shall come into force on such date as the state government may, by notification in the official Gazette, appoint. Accordingly, by notification dated 11 January 2018, the Governor of Meghalaya notified that the provisions of the said Act shall come into force with effect from 1st day of January 2018. Further, notification dated 11 January, the Governor of Meghalaya also notified that the Meghalaya Resident Safety and Security Rules 2017 shall come into force with effect from the 1st day of January 2018. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Meghalaya Resident Safety and Security Act 2016 has three main objectives. One, vetting of tenants, which will be done by the local police station through the local authority concerned, and maintenance of a database of all tenants. Two, establishment of district task force, whose role is to oversee the implementation of the verification of tenants and to verify and any violations. And number three, further the Act also provides for establishment of facilitation centers at such locations, particularly at the entry and exit point of the state. Sir, the district task force for all the districts was constituted by the government on the 10th September 2018. Wide notification Sir, I think, yeah, I have the copy of the location, but I think not necessarily to read out the thing. But we have already notified on the 10th September 2018. Again, the government, via notification dated 12 October 2020, reconstituted the district task force for those districts who were yet to notify. And the component of the district task force, Sir, Chairman, Deputy Commissioner, Secretary, Additional Deputy Commissioner, members, Superintendent of Police, Inspector of Infiltration Branch, Inspector of Labour, Inspector of Supply, representative from autonomous district councils, and also members from the traditional heads of the state as non-official members. These were the members of the district task force. Sir, as per the Act, all tenants in the state of Meghalaya shall furnish the requisite documents to both the police station and to local authority through their landlords. As per Section 9 of the Act, the landlord who rents out his or her house or rental unit shall furnish the documents related to the tenants, to the police stations, and also to the local authority. The database of tenants maintained by the local police station and the local authority shall be submitted to the district task force once in every quarter. The district task force, after due verification and observations, shall submit the same to the government once in every quarter. Sir, as per the Section 17(1) of the Act, as mentioned by the Honourable Mover of the resolution, the state government may establish facilitation centres at such places or locations, particularly at the entry into and exit from the state, as may be notified in the official gazette. The facility centres so established in each district shall be under the general direction, control and supervision of the representative and the district task force committee. Sir, the duties and responsibilities of the facilitation centres and the procedures to be followed shall be in such manner as may be prescribed from time to time by the government, and in particular and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing subsection 1, the functions may provide for all or any of the following matters, namely, to achieve the aims and objectives enshrined in the preamble of this Act, to maintain for a sharp lookout the list of all wanted criminals, known antisocial elements, and other known depredators provided by the local police station from time to time, to solicit the help of local police station and local authorities in enforcing the provisions of this Act as and when required, to facilitate the entry of tourists or visitors to the state without causing any inconveniences, to facilitate verification of identification documents wherever necessary in the furtherance of safety and security of the residents. Any other matter as may be specified by the government through a notification published in the Gazette. Further, as per the Act, the facilitation centre shall ensure that no citizens of India shall be put to inconvenience or restrained from exercising his or her right guaranteed under the Constitution of India. Mr. Speaker, sir, it may be mentioned that in exercise of the powers conferred under subsection 1 of Section 17 of the Meghalaya Resident Safety and Security Act 2016, notifications for setting up facilitation center at entry-exit points were issued by the government at the key locations. 1. Umling in Ribhoi. 2. Shillong Airport at Umroi Airport. And number 3. Mendipata Railway Station in North Garo Hills. The facilitation centers at Umling and Shillong Airport were notified on 17 December 2020, and the facilitation center at Mendipata Airport was notified on 21st January 2021. Sir, however, PIL number 13 of 2020 was filed against the said establishment in the High Court of Meghalaya, and which questions the validity of the Meghalaya Residents Safety and Security Act 2016. The order of the Honorable High Court of Meghalaya dated 2/12/2021, which states that it is made clear that the apparent omnibus charter conferred by the impugned statute without indicating any parameters for restricting or regulating the entry or movement of Indian citizens into and within the state may be not exercised. Mr. Speaker, sir, in pursuance of the above Honorable High Court order and for compliance of the orders of the Honorable High Court, the notifications issued by number POL 161/2012 dated 17/12/2020 for setting up of facilitation centers were kept in abeyance until further order, vide notification number POL 161/2012 dated 7/12/2021. Sir, due to the then COVID-19 pandemic, the facilities at facilitation centers at Umling, at Ribhoi District, Shillong Airport at Umroi, and Mendipata Railway Station North were handed over to the Health and Family Welfare Department for use as COVID-19 screening centers. Sir, even though the government had to keep in abeyance the setting up of the facilitation centers due to the orders of the Honorable High Court of Meghalaya, the process of implementation of the other provisions of the Act were not kept in abeyance, and the government went ahead with the implementation of the provisions that dealt with the verification of the tenants. Mr. Speaker, sir, Section 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the Act provide for the verification of the tenants and maintenance of the database of tenants under the overall supervision of the District Task Force to streamline the registration process mandated by the MRSSA Act and to ensure that there is a database of tenants. The government launched an online portal on 8 September 2022, accessible at https://megrssa.nic.in. The stakeholders who can use the web portal are tenants, landlords, Rangbak Snong, sub-locality Rangbak Dok, and also the police stations. The online portal was created to facilitate the maintenance of database that can be accessed by the various authorities as per the mandate of the Act. Sir, the online portal was implemented on pilot basis in 7 localities under East Khasil districts, namely Nongrim Hills, Bokse, Nongra, Nongmensong, Lapalang, Riyad Laban, and Wat Dingling, Shillong in East Khasil, being the capital city. It has the presence of tenants who are living here and working in various central government and private sector establishments. The implementation was done after detailed discussion and agreement with the respective local Dorbashnong. 18 hands-on training on the usage of the MRSSA portal was also conducted by the Deputy Commissioner East Khasi District in various localities. Further, 2 awareness and sensitization programs were conducted by the East Khasi District, including or at the village level, as mentioned. Sir, to assist the District Task Force in East Khasi Hills, 2 of his assistant supporting staff were also appointed since June 2023 in the office of the Deputy Commissioner East Khasi Hills, Shillong. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as per Section 3 of the Act, tenants are supposed to furnish information of their occupation of a rented house to the local authority and the police. Section 7 of the Act, any landlord who intends to let his or her house or a rental unit on rent to a tenant, he or she shall obtain clearance from the local authority subject to renewal. Hence, as seen from this section, the local authority, that is the headman, Rangbashnong, Doloi, Nokma, even up to the Rangbadong, they play a very important role in the process of verification of tenants. Further, as on date, 87 numbers of localities and 177 sub-localities have been registered in East Khasi District under the MRSSA portal. And out of these registered localities, 16 numbers of localities have begun implementation of the Act. Sir, as on date, 183 tenants have registered in the portal. Apart from the District Task Force of East Khasi Hills District, several meetings were also held by the District Task Forces in all the districts for implementation of the MRSSA 2016. Sir, a scheme with separate head of account is also being processed by the state government for funding purchasing of computers, laptops, internet facilities where the village authorities need to enter the database of tenants and landlords, which will be provided through their deputy commissioners in the coming days. So, sir, therefore, saying that implementation or enforcement of the very important act that till today, as per the text of the resolution, sir, let me inform the honorable member who moved the resolution as well as the members of this August House, other than setting up of facilitation centers, since the court has given a stay on the establishment of these 3 facilitation centers, the other clauses, the other paras of the Principal Act, MRSSA, is being implemented in totality and in spirit, sir. We are continuing to do that, sir, and we could see that with this implementation, the system that we kept it in place is very constructive, and also it is very successful, fully done according to the District Task Force Committee who already given to us the report. Sir, as far as other districts is concerned, the District Task Force has been also reminded by the government that they need to make sure that they activate the function of the district task force in the respective district. Number two, sir, in view of these issues which was resulting to the court intervention, sir, again, the amendment was brought in by the government, and it was again passed in this August House on the 13th March 2020 and on 19 March 2020. And the main provision for proposed in the amendment was that every person who intends to stay in the state of Meghalaya for more than 48 hours shall furnish information in the manner prescribed under the rules. Certain categories of persons like permanent residents, employees of central and state government were exempted from the requirement of furnishing the information. And after the passage of the bill by this August House, the amendment bill was sent to the Honorable Governor for his assent, but the Honorable Governor reserved the bill for the consideration of the President. And with the message to the government in that last proviso, the last proviso of the Constitution of the Constitution under Article 200, as already referred to by the honourable mover of the resolution. The last proviso of the article has clearly mentioned that the governor has the authority to reserve, and not only that, to refer to the President of India. However, sir, after the referring of the Honourable Governor for approval of the President of India under the leadership of our Honourable Chief Minister, Sri Conrad Sangma, and not only that, with a number of Honourable MLAs, we met the Ministry of Home Affairs, be it the Honourable Home Minister, be it the Prime Minister, to pursue to put pressure on this very amendment bill, which was still not approved by the authority. And not only that, even we pursue and we put pressure to the government of India for implementation of the ILP. So, sir, as far as the MRSSA is concerned, as I've already clarified, we are implementing it, and right now even the court, the Honorable High Court, who has given us a stay against establishment of the centers, we are also pursuing it, and I cannot say right now whether we get vacation or not, but sir, we will seriously take it up with the Honorable High Court for the final order of the previous ruling given by the Honorable High Court. So, sir, with this clarification, before I resume my seat, therefore, sir, I would request the Honorable Mover of the resolution, or Senior Leader, Dr. Mukul Sama, to kindly withdraw the resolution.
Mr. Speaker, sir, Deputy Speaker, sir, I would like to thank the Honorable Deputy CM for elaborately highlighting the measures taken. But at the same time, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I think there are certain parts which we can have better clarity. Now, this notification issued by the government on the 17/12/21 pertaining to keeping in abeyance the process of implementation pertaining to the mandate of the Section 17 of the Act, based on the observation of the Honorable High Court. It will be only in the fitness of things that we get clarity on the operational part of that particular observation or judgment of the Honorable High Court pertaining to that Section 17 of the Principal Act. Can we get it? Just before I make my stand, I just want to have a better clarity on the operational part of the judgment. Yeah. What is the actual portion of that operational part which was pronounced by the Honorable Judge? Yeah, High Court.
Sir, in fact, the order of the Honorable High Court is here with me. So, okay. The operational part of the judgment says, it is made clear that the apparent omnibus charter conferred by the impugned statute without indicating any parameters for restricting or regulating the entry or movement of Indian citizens into and within the state may be not exercised. This is the operative part.
That means the mandate of the Act has withstood the judicial scrutiny. There has to be just amendment to the notification of that particular relevant provision which mandates the implementation of that Section 17 of the Act. We have to only fine-tune it, you see. The court has not said that it is not inconsistent with the relevant entries as entered in the list 2 of the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India. We have to also read that relevant entry 64 of the list 2 of the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India. Based on that, if this can be properly fine-tuned, I think there will be no problem in implementation of this mandate. So kindly get it examined further by the relevant department and let us put our heads together. I think the government has the privilege of having all the resources within its command. Kindly use it and then let us proceed further, because without these, I think the overall perception of the public, particularly the concerned civil society organizations which are taking the issue of this crucial issue of influx and illegal immigration and the resultant negative ramification on the future generation of the state, I think it will still give them a room for discontentment and doubt of our complete resolve to implement the mandate of the law. So I think the government is capable of taking care of this observation of the court and come out with an appropriate, much more fine-tuned and amended notification to give effect to that Section 17 of the Constitution, mandate of this principle. With these few observations, I would like to seek, I beg to withdraw the resolution.
Thank you.
And, but I believe that I will get a positive response from the government.
Thank you. Since the mover has withdrawn his resolution, now let me put the question before the House. The question is that Honorable Mover has leave of the House to withdraw his resolution. Those who are in favor say aye. Those who are against say no. Ayes have it, ayes have it. And the resolution has been withdrawn with the leave of the House.
जिसमें उन्होंने चावल से बॉल बना दी थी।
क्या ये सच है? अब हम इस चावल का क्या करें?
राजू, आज पड़ोस में हमारे एरिया के फूड सेफ्टी ऑफिसर आए हुए हैं। चलो उनसे ही पूछते हैं।
राजू और देव ने अपने एरिया के फूड सेफ्टी ऑफिसर से मिलकर इस बारे में बात की।
सर देखिए, इस फोर्टिफाइड चावल में कुछ दाने अलग दिख रहे हैं।
घबराइए नहीं, FSSAI के निर्देश के अनुसार चावल में सूक्ष्म पोषक तत्वों को सही मात्रा में मिलाया जा रहा है। इन्हें कहते हैं फोर्टिफाइड चावल। फोर्टिफाइड चावल के दाने, चावल का पाउडर और सूक्ष्म पोषक तत्व जैसे विटामिन B12, फॉलिक एसिड और आयरन को सही मात्रा में मिलाकर बनाए जाते हैं। फिर इन्हें आम चावल के साथ 1 दाना प्रति 100 दाने के अनुपात में मिलाया जाता है।
अच्छा, पर ये बॉल जैसा क्यों हो जाता है?
पके हुए चावल में 80% स्टार्च होता है और कार्बोहाइड्रेट की अधिक मात्रा होने के कारण चावल चिपकता है और इसमें लचीलापन आता है। और हाँ, किसी भी तरह के चावल को चिपकाकर इस तरह की बॉल बन सकती है।
ये तो आपने बिल्कुल सही बात बताई सर, लेकिन क्या फोर्टिफाइड चावल के रख रखाव और पकाने के तरीके में कोई फर्क होता है?
जी नहीं, फोर्टिफाइड चावल के रख रखाव, स्वाद और पकाने की विधि आम चावल जैसी ही होती है। हमें फोर्टिफाइड चावल को अपने रोजाना के खाने में प्रयोग करना चाहिए ताकि हमें और हमारे परिवार को सही पोषण मिल सके। इसके साथ साथ सभी चावल उत्पादकों को भी फोर्टिफाइड चावल उपलब्ध करवाने चाहिए ताकि हम सब इससे स्वास्थ्य लाभ ले सकें।
आपने तो हमारी आंखें ही खोल दी। अब हम अपने और अपने परिवार के लिए फोर्टिफाइड चावल ही लाएंगे।
फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया द्वारा जनहित में जारी।